Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And my head's ready to explode.
It's not like we don't plan these things. You know what I'm talking about, Chip?
we have just listened, and it's kind of long, so we're not going to burden you with it. But you can go on the WSAR site and listen to the superintendent of schools expounding on the money that's sitting in the employee trust fund and how it shouldn't be sitting there, and they should use it, and they should determine what they're doing. Well, you know, we got city councilors telling the fire department what to do. Now we got the superintendent of schools dealing with health care, and she said in her thing, health care experts, well, you better fire them, because it's kind of like the experts we got on the budget that can't put a budget together that's actually sound. The fact is, Superintendent, before I even go into the statutory requirements of how to handle employee money, and I'm going to say it one more time, so you, the mayor, and everybody else in this city can remember what that is, because you stole it once before in 1991. And after you stole it, you had to give us 3 free months of Blue Cross and an $18 premium reduction for the remaining year to pay off your debt. Well, you're not going to steal it again, because it is, again, for the 4th time, employee money. Yeah, it's not your money to spend. It's money taken out of the employee's paycheck for their 25% of the health care premium. It's their money. What are you going to do next? Go into their personal savings accounts to fund the city? How absurd is that statement? You're a disgrace to make a statement like that on the radio. Read 32B. Statutorily, the money that's taken out of the employee's paycheck has to be kept in an interest-bearing account. And then once, at the end of every year, any excess has to be used to either reduce premiums or at the employee's discretion. The city doesn't get to tell us how we spend our money. As a matter of fact, we did the city a favor last year. We gave them $1 million out of our trust fund to keep the mail-order prescription drug plan going. The city's got to pay us back that money this year. We know how to handle our money. We've got over $6 million in our trust fund, not 1.2, sitting there. And had the city done what they were bound to do with our money, statutorily, the city would now have over $19 million that they could dip into. But no, they spend every single dime, as you said again, fiscal mismanagement, take money from healthcare, take money from everything to use it for everything else. And then we wonder why the city's always broke. It's because of people who don't understand. Real simple. You know, if I plan to put a roof in my house and I have a couple of catastrophic, unexpected things, I may not have to put that roof on. But guess what? The city, from day to day, it's budget by crisis. Everything's a catastrophe because you spend every single dime you can get and steal from everywhere. That's the reason that the city health care plan's been gutted. You've made $12 million by taking that $12 million out of the pockets of the employees in health care. And to go on the radio and have the audacity to say employee money and you want to touch it, get your head out of your derriere. That's money out of our paycheck. That's statutorily put in an account. 32B, start reading it. Start with Section 8A and continue on. It might give you a rude awakening, but I am sick and tired of the mismanagement the absolute garbage that they shovel down everybody's throat, and they expect us to believe it. And then we sue and we win, like we did in '91. When they said, and I still, by the way, have the sworn depositions, because we had a court stenographer take down every word, where the city said, oh, we took $1.5 million of your money and put it in our account, and we forgot it was yours. Well, guess what? We won that arbitration in '91. We'll win it again, but this time, I'm not gonna settle for the arbitration. I'm gonna put a few of you in jail if I can, because I'll go to the Attorney General. Because, by the way, at the end of that arbitration, at the end of '91 and '92, when the arbitrator's decision came down, the city of Fall River said that they would, in fact, never, ever screw up the trust funds again. They would straighten out the Blue Cross and the way the money was handled in this city. Yet again, a few years ago, they didn't. And guess what? If you read everybody's collective bargaining agreement in this city, it says that an arbitrator's award shall be final and binding upon both parties. So you made a promise to an arbitrator that you haven't kept for well over 20 years. And I'm telling you right now, if you think you're going to get away with it this time, I'm telling you, the mayor, his financial team, that I will see you in court.
Well, Chip, this is Fall River at its best. And, you know, it's not only Meg Mayo Brown, Melissa Panchley. She's the one that started this whole thing. When we found a $1.2 million deficit in the school department budget, she went on WSAR and she said, well, that money should be there. We should be able to take that money out of there and use it in our budget and meet this shortfall. That $1.2 million belongs to us, so it should be there. Meanwhile, I guess she doesn't listen to John Nunes, who turns around and says, we don't put the money in there. We only put it there when we got to pay the bill. I mean, this is Fall River at its best. And what do you do? I mean, really, what can you do or say to these idiots, these morons, who can't figure out that the money doesn't belong to you? The money belongs to the employees.
Not only that, she said it. If you listen to the radio, she said employee money. Where do they get this idea? Well, I guess because they've been stealing our money for so many years in so many different ways. But, I mean, well, now I know why she didn't get her PhD. I guess that's why she flunked out, because she doesn't understand what employee means. And she doesn't understand that it's not their money. And Melissa Panchley, you can't use our money for that.
But this is the
even
problem.
though, I got to say this, even though, and I have the deposition, and one of these days I'll bring it in, and I'm going to read some of it, where the city admitted that they were buying sheetrock and plaster and paint with healthcare money. And it was their healthcare money, but it was ours too, because that's when they took the $1.5 million of our money and put it into their budget and said they forgot. But the fact is, I don't understand. You know, they're on the school department. It scares me that these are the people that are responsible for educating our children, and they don't know that they can't use other people's money. It's employee money, not your money. It's not the city money. It's not the school department's money. It came out of the paycheck of every school department employee as their contribution to the health care. And if you run under budget, that's what we use to either reduce premiums or keep it in there and get more interest in case we have a really bad year claim-wise, and we can use that for claims, because we are a self-insurer. And if we have a bad month or we have a bad year and we run over budget, we need money in the bank. See, we understand that as employees. And fortunately for us, the state of Massachusetts understood it and made it a law. And how you can even use employee money and we're going to use it in the same sentence is not only disgraceful, you should all be fired, as far as I'm concerned. Because as I said before, when I look at this government and I look at what's running this city, you've got every feasance covered. You've been malfeasant, misfeasant, and non-feasant. And it's just, it's mind-boggling. You wonder why this city's in such a mess. You wonder, I don't know, CJ. Come on. Give me something.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, Chip, one of the things that I think is funny is that, if this was the first time they did it, I'll give them a mistake. The second time, that's stupidity. The third time, you're robbing us, and we know it.
3 strikes, you're out. That's it.
Yeah, well, I'm done with the 3 strikes rule in
Yep.
Fall River. I mean, because when you look at things that happen, and, let's move away from the school department for a little bit here. Let's look at what's happening now in Fall River. Kenny Fiola is, screaming at the governor, I want $7.5 million in an environmental bond. Ooh, there's that swear word again, bond. To fix the city pier, to make 101 or 110 boat slips and a restaurant. Why do the city taxpayers, the state taxpayers, have to pay for a private entity? Here's my deal in the city pier. Let the city own it, let the city run it, let the city sell the slip space, and let the city make the money. Lease out the space to a restaurant and take some money from the restaurant. No, why don't we do that? Because our friends from the RDA, the Regional Destruction Association, yeah, I got another name out there, okay, have to make their money for their friends. And, I really believe that the Regional Destruction Association, they're supposed to be known as the Redevelopment Authority, but as we've known about development in this city, it's always destruction. They only serve the people, the powers that be. The millionaires, and I'll quote a couple of regional business moguls who said, we've already bled the city of Fall River dry. We won't put another dime into it. Can you believe the audacity of the people of the city of Fall River who are supposed to be making money and giving back to the community, who can actually say, we've already bled it dry?
Well, it doesn't surprise me, but what really bothers me is the fact that, it seems that the people that run this city have no sense of reality. It's like we've been listening to this baloney for years. It's always this giant panacea for all our problems, the casino, something else that's going to cure. Magically, Fall River is going to be changed into Newton overnight. And you know something? You've got to have some sense of reality. In order to build something, first you have to lay a foundation. 110 slips for what? All the yachts are going to leave Newport and come down to Fall River? We can't even. Jerry Remy, one of the premier sports figures ever to come out of this city, put his name hanging on a restaurant on the waterfront, and they're looking to sell it. We can't support. We're going to support another restaurant on the waterfront that has slips for boats and yachts. What are we? What is this, Monaco? Come on, we should be looking at containerized shipping. We could be. It's like a mother telling her child to drop out of school in the 6th grade so he can become the CEO of IBM. You can't do it. You got to get an education. We've got to start with things that are realistic. We're not going to draw tourism from Newport and the Cape. We're never going to out-tourist the Cape. They got the Kennedy compound. They've got the aura, the Cape Spinning movies. You got Newport with the Great Gatsby and a 12-mile drive and all the mansions and the America's Cup races and the other races. And it's, be realistic. We've got a workforce that doesn't have a lot of education. Heaven forbid we come up with an idea like, let's get some containerized shipping down here. Let's do something commercial. Because why? Because, we've got enough. We got people that we can train to unload boats. We can get some people. We can get some people to do longshoremen's work, and it's a money-making industry. New Bedford's doing it. Why can't we do it? We've got one of the best deep water ports in this area, but no. We're always going to go, hey, look, I don't mind setting your goals high, but let's be realistic. It's always this baloney of these unrealistic things. We're going to turn the waterfront into Monaco and Nice, the French Riviera, and Nice and Monaco. So it's like, let's be realistic, people. let's look at the demographic here. We're going to build 110. Who wants to, a restaurant? A Trio just closed. A small Portuguese restaurant in this city had to close. Lack of business.
And where'd they go?
Well, they had two restaurants. The Dartmouth restaurant went over to New Bedford. And the Fall River restaurant, because, how many times do we have to say this? We're second in the state of people living below the poverty line. We have the second lowest household income. How are you going to get a business? These rocket scientists, Messiah Million and all the rest, that think that, it's like that movie, Build It and They Shall Come, with Kevin Costner. Build a baseball field and all the ghosts will come and then everybody will come to watch the ghosts play baseball. Well, guess what? They don't come because the ghosts don't have any money. And it's hard to have a business in a community where people don't have discretionary cash. i.e. Newton. Newton's budget looks like a real budget. Newton has 14,000 businesses, and Fall River has 4,000 plus. They have 10,000 more businesses. They have a lower tax rate. They have everything. Why? Because the average household income in Fall River is between 31 and 34,000 for a family of four, depending on if you go to U.S. Census or anything. But the Newton household average is 113,000. So guess what? Businesses figured that, hey, if I got a chance to open up in a place where nobody's got any money and half the people are living below the poverty level, or I got a place where everybody's making over $100,000 a year. Gee, where am I going to open? Let's get real.
But Chip, the thing is that Wayne Rigo cut me off yesterday when I had mentioned that, and they don't want me on WSCR anyways, and I don't really care. But I had brought up Newton, and you can't compare us to Newton because Newton has money, and Newton, a ranch in Newton is $700,000. Yeah, well, a ranch in Fall River could be $700,000 too. The problem is that Fall River became a welfare city. It's a welfare city. And that's what they don't understand. Under the Viveris administration, we put out the signs. The signs are still up in New Jersey, in New York, in Pennsylvania that say, come to Fall River, we'll give you housing, we'll give you welfare, we'll give you food stamps. We've made it so that we have made Fall River the industry of nonprofits. We have made it the industry of the poor. And I'm not against poor people, but let's be realistic, okay? You can't make an industry out of it because every industry that is in that business is a nonprofit, so they don't pay taxes. And so our income levels are low. We cater to the poor. We cater to the undeserving. We cater to the drug addict. We don't cater to the business community. We cater to crap. And that's what we've got to get across to people.
Well, no, but you're saying something that's, but we can compare ourselves to Newton. Newton is population-wise close to us. Newton's not rich because it has a marina with boat slips. They're not rich because they have a casino. They're rich because they try to have a sound budget. And if you go online and look at the Newton budget, I've said it time and time again. We've had people say that's not possible. Yes, it is. You look at the Newton budget. Every department is required to tell the citizens and their aldermen, city councilors, whatever you want to call them, as city council by the name, what they're going to do for the entire year. The entire budget's there, and they also have to give a synopsis of everything they accomplished in the past year. And when you read their budget and you see what they did, there's a plan. And there's a legitimate plan, and it's a realistic plan. But what does Fall River do? Fall River always wants to fix it with a casino, or fix it with one industry, or fix it with, no, they don't want to go incrementally build and build and build and get jobs that are realistic for the city of Fall River. Not pizza delivery and Chinese food delivery. No, containerized shipping. You don't need a bachelor's degree to unload a cargo ship. Guess what? Those are the kind of jobs, and it brings money into the community.
But Kenny Fiola says we don't need it.
Oh, yeah, well, what we need is 110 slips for rich people to come here from Newport, which is another crap. Kenny Fiola also said that the carousel was going to bring in 500,000 tourists in 1 year.
But he's got to be right.
But well, I guess what? He's been around about 20 years. Look how good our economy's doing. And but that's the whole thing. It's like we can compare ourselves with Newton. Are we Newton? No. Can we learn something from Newton? Yeah. And we can learn by looking at statistics. We can learn that why is Newton as good as it is? Because it's rich and it keeps getting richer. And what do? We're poor, and we keep getting poorer. And why do we do that? Because rather than attracting the best and brightest to the community, the best and brightest leave our community to go to places like Newton, and we import all the people from every housing authority in the state. And that's why our household income is actually decreasing. And then we wonder why. And then we have our council, the oblivious nine. It's like they sit there and they approve every bond issue, and they listen to these people saying, oh, the cure is reduce taxes on businesses. And how good has that worked? Trio's closed, all the businesses leave. I don't care if you don't charge them any tax. When people can't buy a dinner, your restaurant's going to close. When people can't buy clothes, your clothing store closes, ultimately. I mean, how many TIFs did we give out? And as soon as the TIFs are gone, they're leaving. Because, why? Where Newton entices growth, we invite poverty. And that's the problem with this community. And the city council and every single mayoral administration for the past 20 years or so has been culpable. And it started many, many years ago when the housing authority director was the brother of the mayor, and when he got the job, they put in a proviso in his contract that he would get a bonus based on occupancy. So the more people that he brought in on Section 8, the more money he made. And right now in the housing authority, I believe our housing authority director, who had virtually no qualifications except being a state rep, another political hack, has just gotten a pay raise. I believe he's making about $160,000, but now he's going to charge the elderly for trash bags or something, or for trash pickup. And they gave everybody a letter, and I believe they were hand carried to each apartment. It's appalling, because the people like Kenny Fiola, who were making well over $250,000 with between the two of them, and people who own all these businesses. Things haven't changed much since 1835, when somebody from Fall River testified before the Senate committee on how little money they made, and the Senate asked, how can you live on that? And so the rich get rich, the poor get poorer. The only difference is, instead of sitting up at the Highlands looking down on the mills and the squalor and the people working 14 hours a day for virtually no money, now they don't live in the Highlands anymore. They're dispersed around the city, and some not even in the city, and they get their low interest loans, and they get their TIFs, and they get their tax breaks, and they take their money and they laugh and they say, oh, we're not the problem. The problem is they don't pay enough taxes. Well, guess what, Wayne? We can learn something from Newton. They make a lot more money than we do, yet they pay less taxes. There's a moral to that story.
I don't know. I don't think they understand morals. I don't think they understand the story. Because personally, they rewrite history all the time. And we know this. We've seen it over and over again, and that's the sad part about it. And, sometimes, I get so frustrated, I don't even want to deal with these monkeys. Because it seems like the more we do and the more we find out, the less people want to hear it. And this is the problem in Fall River. The problem in Fall River is not that our city council, our school committee, our mayors, our department heads aren't doing their job. No, they are doing a job. It's not a good job, but they're doing a job. The problem is that the people of Fall River, you who's watching this show right now, whether it be on YouTube, on Facebook, or right now on Channel 95 here in Fall River, It's you. You're the cause. You don't hold these people accountable. That's why you're getting hit with the fees. That's why you're getting hit with the taxes. Because guess what? To quote a vice president of a business here in Fall River, this is Fall River. You're all on welfare. You're all on food stamps. You can afford it. That's going to be the epitaph of Fall River when it's a ghost town.
Well,
this was Fall River.
You're
It's
right.
on welfare.
Well, you know what bothers me is, and it's just look at the way we do business. Look who we hire. We hire people that are either, well, they're supposed to be qualified, quote unquote. But to give you an example, I guess Kathy Andverse didn't get hired in Swansea, and I believe the reason they said was not enough experience. So a town of about 15 or 16,000 can figure out that they didn't want her to handle their budget. And I'm not going to go through the complete budget, but I'm going to show you to say that she doesn't have the experience to handle their budget and somebody hired her to handle our budget. I'm just going to give you two startling figures. And this comes from right from the state FY 2015 budget of Deval Patrick. School aid to the city of Fall River was $102,929,032. Swansea school aid was $6,481,000. So it's about, give or take 97 million more in Fall River. And unrestricted government aid, 20,632,671 in Fall River, and 1,600,000. So it's about 19 million. So between the two, we're over $100 million larger just in those two elements of the budget. And we hired her to handle this budget, and Swansea won't hire her to handle their budget. So what do we get? What's the moral of that story?
Well, the only moral I know is that when you hire idiots, you get nothing. And the biggest problem is that, our budgets are a joke. And you and I talked about this the other day. Your budget should propose what you're going to spend for the year. Don't come back in a month, 2 months, 6 months and say, oh, we need another $250,000 for this, or we need another $300,000 for that. It better be an emergency. A bomb better have exploded, or a sinkhole better come up and suck your building into the ground. Because you know what? If I was on the city council, I'd say, you should have prepared for this. No, you're not getting it. But we don't do that in Fall River. That's how we make the budgets look so good. Well, this is the budget, and it's going to be good, and we're going to be fine, but we're going to come back to you in 3 months and ask for another $500,000, but we're not going to talk about that in the budget.
CJ, we're almost out of time.
Yes, we are.
I heard a good song when I was walking to the studio. We should segue into our closing with that song, because that's what we need.
Oh, really?
Really.
Is that what you want?
Yeah. That's what we need.
Yeah, we do, because that's what we are. We're a big joker man here in Fall River.
No. Weren't you playing Revolution?
No, I did not have Revolution yet.
Oh. I thought I heard that when I came in the studio.
No, I don't have that.
Well, in that case, we won't. We'll just say we need a revolution, and the next show we'll close with the Beatles' Revolution, because that's what we need. It's up to you out there to join us in the revolution, and make sure that you only vote for people who will move this city forward realistically, not make you absurd promises like they have been for the past 20 years.
Sounds good to me. Have a great day, and we will see you next week.
And don't get angry, get even.